So I want to make sure I understand this. So this sounds like a phenomenal service that you provide, photo reading. Explain it to me a little bit more. I want to understand it. You said read a book in 5 minutes. I'm hooked. Explain more.
The premise of photo reading is the baseline speed is your photo reading at 25,000 words a minute, which is fast. Most people maybe read 200 or 300 words a minute. And the premise is that it's called whole brain, whole mind learning. So using all of your mind, all of your brain, tapping into all of your learning styles and tapping into the 8 multiple intelligences. And that enables you to be more of a sponge for information rather than our traditional way of reading every single thing word for word. Because when you do that, there's the primacy and recency effect. And probably once you've read 30 or 40 words, you've either forgotten the first words, forgotten the ones in the middle, or forgotten the ones at the end. And so the premise of photo reading is you're turning the pages at the rate of 1 second per page. You're basically doing almost like a mental download of the information. And then once you've got all of the book absorbed, you then go back to do this thing that we call activating it. So it turns traditional reading upside down and back to front and on its head. But for me, I was diagnosed with what was thought to be early onset Alzheimer's in my 20s. And my doctor said there was nothing he could do for me. And I struggled with that for years. You know, I'd read something, 5 minutes later, I have no idea what I've read, could sometimes barely string a good sentence together. And when I came across photo reading, it seemed completely outlandish. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But I'm going to give you a couple of $100. I'm sure this isn't going to work. And quite frankly, it didn't at first, because I had, a home study course, and we know about, well, I call it shelf development. What you get something great, you put it on the shelf, and your shelf is more developed than you are. And then it was a few years later, I went on a course, and there was a guy who was saying that he reads 20 to 30 books a month. And I'm like, dude, you obviously don't get out enough. And how do you have a life? And then he said, I photo read. And that's when I thought, oh my God, I've got that. They were tapes back then. They're actually sat behind me still. But I thought, I've got those tapes. I'm going to go home. I'm going to listen to them again with an open mind, rather than going, I don't think that's going to work. And the rest, as they say, is history. Within a couple of days, my life started to change. And that has also been the case for my students. And I've had people with dyslexia, dyspraxia, brain damage, you name it, they've had it. And within 2.5 days, completely transformed. So for me, it was a game changer.